Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of from a psychedelics, therapeutic psychedelics advocacy perspective, I wonder if those 11 states uh, might be the right type of state to consider psychedelic therapies with that in mind.
Well, very possibly. But again, my work in recent years has focused on creating federal safe harbor
Very.
because, as you know, Schedule One substances are federally prohibited for any purpose other than research. So I became concerned watching what was unfolding, and I had a role in working to see the Oregon measure adopted. I was living in Oregon at the time, and I worked to bring end of life clinicians and patient community to support the measure. Having said that, it's nearly impossible for clinicians to be involved in providing psilocybin assisted therapy because Oregon's law is only a state safe harbor, not a federal. And for physicians who hold prescribing privileges and DEA registrations, they cannot step outside the bounds of federal law or they risk losing those privileges, as well as potential criminal penalties, jail, and fines. So that really stimulated my work to create a federal safe harbor. And that work has now two different fronts that are oriented to achieving the same goal. First, what we did was went to the DEA on behalf of a palliative care physician and several of his cancer patients, asking how the DEA would accommodate existing state and federal right to try laws. These laws are meant to allow people with life threatening illness to access investigational drugs that meet certain criteria. And psilocybin meets those criteria. So it should be available now to clinicians who want to offer it to their dying patients. And yet the DEA has interposed itself to thwart and nullify this existing state and federal law, which is really out of its lane. The DEA is a law enforcement agency. It is not meant to intrude into and control the practice of medicine. So it's well outside the bounds of its authority in obstructing operation of right to try laws. So that is some of the litigation, and that's referred to as AIMS, AIMS versus DEA. Um, the other thing we've done that is oriented toward the same goal of opening access for physicians to be able to have medicinal use is to petition the DEA to reschedule psilocybin off of Schedule 1 and onto Schedule 2. And that petition was denied. And we filed a lawsuit challenging that denial, which we just won. And so the DEA was smacked down by the court and told this denial is insufficient. You have to do better. And hopefully, on reflection, what the DEA will do on remand is what it should have done, and that is ask the FDA for medical and scientific opinion about rescheduling. And we already know what that opinion is. How do we know? Well, the FDA has granted breakthrough therapy status twice for psilocybin. So we know it considers this an important investigational drug.
I'm going to ask you to opine, if you would, or speculate. Why is the DEA acting this way? What's driving it? What's its primary thought process here?
I can only speculate that it is a knee-jerk reaction that whenever access to Schedule 1 drug is sought, it is denied. It's just the automatic default of that agency. No matter how compelling the argument, here we confronted the agency with existing state and federal law that provides for access, and yet it still denied it without any authority to do so.